The message came on a Tuesday morning when most people on Earth were drinking their coffee and getting ready for work. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the control room of Luna Base looking at the big screen that showed space around Earth. He had been waiting for something like this but hoped it would never come. The screen flickered and showed a face that looked nothing like a human face. The creature had 4 eyes set in a diamond shape and skin that moved like liquid metal. Its mouth was too wide and filled with teeth that looked sharp enough to cut steel. "People of the planet you call Earth," the alien said in perfect English that somehow felt cold and empty. "I am High Commander Vex Thule of the Galactic Council. We have been watching your small world for some time now." Captain Lisa Rodriguez stood next to Morrison. She was Earth's best expert on alien life, even though they had never met any aliens before today. Her hands were shaking, but her voice stayed calm when she spoke. "Admiral, we need to record everything and send it to Earth right away," she whispered. Morrison nodded but kept watching the screen. The alien continued talking, and each word felt like a threat. "Your people have recently built settlements on the red planet you call Mars. This was a mistake. Your species is too young and too dangerous to leave your home world. You must stop all travel beyond your moon immediately." Lieutenant Commander Ryan Clark looked up from his control station. His face was pale, but his fingers kept moving over the buttons and screens. "Sir, the long-range sensors are picking up something at the edge of our solar system." Morrison felt his stomach drop. He had been a soldier for 20 years and knew when someone was making a threat backed up by force. "What kind of something, Lieutenant?" "Ships, sir. Lots of them. They are sitting just past Pluto, and they are big. Really big." The alien on the screen seemed to smile, but it was not a friendly smile. "You see, we are not making empty threats. The Galactic Council has decided that humanity is too aggressive and unpredictable to be allowed to spread beyond Earth. You will recall all your people from Mars and stop building any more spacecraft." Dr. Alex Turner was Earth's smartest scientist, and he was studying the readings from the alien ships. His face got more worried with each number he saw. "Admiral, each of those ships is the size of a small city. The energy readings are off the charts. This is technology we cannot even begin to understand." Morrison looked around the control room at his people. They were scared, but they were not running. That was good, because running would not help them now. "How many ships, Turner?" "At least 200, sir. Maybe more. They are using some kind of stealth technology that makes it hard to get exact numbers." The alien commander continued his message. "You have 72 of your hours to begin the evacuation of Mars. All space construction must stop. All military spacecraft must be destroyed. If you do not comply, we will remove the threat you represent to galactic peace." The screen went dark and the control room was quiet except for the soft humming of computers and air recyclers. Morrison looked out the window at Earth hanging in space below them. The blue and white planet looked so peaceful and beautiful. It was hard to believe that somewhere out there past the edge of the solar system, an alien fleet was waiting to destroy everything humans had built. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked Captain Rodriguez. Morrison was quiet for a long moment. He thought about the Mars colonies where 50,000 humans were building new lives on a hostile world. He thought about the space stations and moon bases where people worked to push humanity further into space. He thought about Earth, where 8 billion people were going about their daily lives not knowing that their future was being decided by aliens they had never met. "Get me a direct line to President Williams," Morrison said finally, "and call an emergency meeting of the Earth Defense Council. It looks like we are about to find out if all those secret projects were worth the money we spent on them." Clark looked confused. "What secret projects, sir?" Morrison smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "The kind that were built exactly for a day like today, Lieutenant. The kind that might give us a fighting chance against impossible odds." Dr. Turner was still studying the alien ship readings. "Admiral, with respect, fighting those ships would be suicide. Their technology is hundreds of years ahead of ours, maybe thousands of years." "Maybe," Morrison agreed. "But they made one big mistake, Turner." "What mistake, sir?" "They told us what they were going to do instead of just doing it. That means they want something from us. Maybe they want us to surrender without a fight. Maybe they think we will be So scared that we will do whatever they say. Rodriguez looked hopeful for the first time since the message started. And if they are wrong? Morrison walked over to a locked cabinet and entered his personal code. Inside were files marked with the highest security classifications Earth had, projects that only a few dozen people knew about, weapons and ships and technologies that had been developed in secret over the past 10 years by scientists who believed that someday humanity might need to defend itself against threats from space. If they are wrong, Captain, then they are about to learn something important about human beings. We do not like bullies, and we do not like being told what we can and cannot do, especially when it comes to our own future. He pulled out one file marked Project Prometheus and another marked Neutron Cascade Initiative. The names meant nothing to most people, but Morrison knew they represented humanity's best hope for survival. Clark, get those messages sent. And send a priority alert to all the hidden bases. Tell them to prepare for Operation Defiance. Operation Defiance, sir? Morrison looked back out at Earth one more time. Somewhere down there, families were having dinner and children were playing and people were falling in love and making plans for tomorrow. All of that was threatened now by creatures who thought humans were too dangerous to be allowed to grow and explore. The operation where we tell the Galactic Council exactly what they can do with their ultimatum, Lieutenant. And then we show them why underestimating humanity is the last mistake they will ever make. The emergency meeting happened in a room buried deep under the Pentagon, where the walls were thick enough to stop nuclear bombs. President Patricia Williams sat at the head of a long table surrounded by the most powerful people on Earth. General Marcus Davis spread holographic maps across the table showing the positions of the alien fleet. Madam President, General Davis began, our satellites have confirmed what Admiral Morrison reported from Luna Base. We count at least 200 alien vessels positioned throughout the outer solar system. Each ship appears to be roughly the size of Manhattan and equipped with weapons we cannot identify. Secretary of Defense Karen Miller leaned forward in her chair. Her face was pale, but her voice was steady. The logical response is immediate compliance with their demands. We evacuate Mars, withdraw all our space assets, and hope they leave us alone. Dr. Elena Rodriguez from the International Space Consortium shook her head. That assumes they will keep their word. What happens in 10 years when we try to go back to space? What happens when our population grows and we need resources from other planets? We deal with that problem when it comes, Miller replied. Right now, we need to focus on keeping 8 billion people alive. President Williams had been quiet during the discussion, but now she spoke. General Davis, what do we know about their technology? Very little, Madam President. The energy readings suggest they have mastered faster than light travel and some form of artificial gravity. Their weapons appear to be based on directed energy rather than projectiles. Admiral Morrison's voice came through the secure communication link from Luna Base. Madam President, I need to brief you on something that most people in that room do not know about. Williams looked around the table. Half the people there had the highest security clearances possible, but she knew Morrison was talking about projects that went beyond even those classifications. Go ahead, Admiral. 10 years ago, when we first detected unusual radio signals from deep space, we began developing contingency plans. The Prometheus project has been building experimental spacecraft using technologies that no other nation on Earth possesses. Director Sam Carter from the CIA spoke carefully. The quantum drive systems are still in testing phase. We have only completed 3 successful trials. But they work, Morrison interrupted. And more importantly, the weapon systems work. We finished the final tests on the neutron cascade bombs last month. The room went completely silent. Most of the people at the table had never heard of neutron cascade bombs because they were not supposed to exist. Dr. Rodriguez was the first to speak. How is that possible? The energy requirements alone should make such weapons impossible with our current technology. That's the beauty of it, Morrison explained. We did not try to copy alien technology or build bigger versions of what we already had. We went in a completely different direction. Neutron cascade bombs work by destabilizing matter at the subatomic level. They ignore energy shields because they attack the fundamental forces that hold atoms together. General Davis, looked skeptical. And you think these experimental weapons can damage ships that are centuries ahead of us technologically? I think they can destroy any ship made of normal matter, Morrison replied. The aliens might have better shields and faster engines, but they still have to obey the laws of physics. Neutron cascade weapons turn those laws against them. President Williams stood up and walked to the window, even though it only showed the concrete wall of the bunker. How many ships do we have that can carry these weapons? 12 fully operational vessels, Madam President, plus the orbital defense platforms we built around Earth and Mars. If we include those, we have enough firepower to engage a significant portion of their fleet. Secretary Miller looked horrified. 12 ships against 200? That's not a battle, it's a massacre. Yes, it is, Morrison agreed. The question is, who gets massacred? Williams turned back to face the room. She had been president for 3 years and had made many difficult decisions, but nothing like this. The choice she made in the next few minutes would determine whether humanity had a future among the stars or spent the rest of its existence trapped on one world. Admiral Morrison, how long would it take to get our ships into position? The Mars Defense Fleet can be ready in 6 hours. The Earth orbital platforms are already in position. If we are going to do this, we need to do it before they get suspicious about the delay in our response. Dr. Rodriguez leaned forward. Madam President, there is something else to consider. If we fight and lose, they will probably destroy our entire civilization. But if we surrender now and they decide later that we are still a threat, they will destroy us anyway. At least if we fight, we go down on our own terms. And if we win? Williams asked. Morrison's voice carried across the communication link with absolute certainty. If we win, Madam President, then we send a message to every alien civilization in the galaxy that humanity is not prey. We show them that threatening Earth is a mistake they will only make once. Williams looked around the table at the faces of her advisors. Some looked terrified, some looked determined, and some looked like they still could not believe this was really happening. She thought about the Mars colonists who had left Earth to build something new. She thought about the children who dreamed of walking on distant worlds. She thought about the principle that had driven humanity from caves to cities to space. General Davis, prepare our response to the alien ultimatum. Tell them that Earth has considered their generous offer. The room held its breath. Tell them we respectfully decline. The argument started immediately with voices raised and fists pounded on the table, but Williams held up her hand for silence. We did not build civilization by surrendering to bullies. We did not reach the stars by accepting limits imposed by others, and we are not going to start now. She turned to face the communication link to Luna Base. Admiral Morrison, you have permission to proceed with Operation Defiance. Show these aliens what happens when they threaten humanity's children. Morrison's response came back immediately. Yes, Madam President. It will be my honor. As the meeting broke up and people rushed to their stations, Williams remained in the bunker looking at the tactical displays. In a few hours, the most important battle in human history would begin. Either humanity would emerge as a force to be respected in the galaxy, or it would be nothing more than radioactive dust orbiting a dead star. But at least they would face their fate as free beings who chose their own destiny, rather than slaves who accepted the chains others tried to put on them. Commander Brett Johnson stood on the observation deck of the Earth defense ship Endeavour, watching Mars grow larger in the viewport. The red planet looked peaceful from this distance, but he knew that 50,000 human colonists were down there, waiting to see if they would live through the next few days. Commander, we have incoming contacts, announced Lieutenant Nina Parker from the bridge. 3 alien vessels breaking formation and moving to intercept. Johnson made his way to the command center, where Captain Troy Mitchell was studying the tactical display. The Endeavour was the lead ship in humanity's small fleet, and Mitchell was the best combat pilot Earth had ever produced. Looks like they want to talk before they start shooting, Mitchell said as he watched the alien ships approach. Or maybe they want to give us one last chance to surrender. Communications Officer Kate Anderson looked up from her station. Sir, they are transmitting on standard frequencies. Should I put them through? Mitchell nodded. Let's hear what they have to say. The main screen lit up with the same alien face they had seen in the original ultimatum. High Commander Vexthol looked even more arrogant than before, if that was possible. His 4 eyes seemed to glow with contempt as he stared at the human officers. Primitive mammals, Vexthol said in a voice like grinding metal. You were given clear instructions and you have chosen to ignore them. This is your final warning. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Captain Mitchell stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. This is Captain Troy Mitchell of the Earth Defense Force. You are the ones who need to surrender. Leave our solar system immediately or face the consequences. For a moment, Vexthol looked genuinely surprised. Then he began to laugh. It was not a pleasant sound. You dare to threaten the Galactic Council? We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We have enslaved civilizations that were traveling between stars when your ancestors were still living in caves. Your pathetic ships are toys compared to our fleet. Mitchell smiled, and it was the kind of smile that made enemy pilots nervous. Big talk from someone who needed 200 ships to threaten one planet that has never been in a space war before. Makes me wonder who is really scared here. The alien's eyes narrowed and his skin color shifted to a deeper shade that probably meant anger. Your arrogance will be your destruction. We offered you a chance to live as primitives on your little world. Now you will all die. The transmission ended, and the 3 alien ships immediately began powering their weapons. Energy readings spiked across the human sensors as exotic technologies prepared to demonstrate their power. All ships, this is Mitchell, the captain broadcast to the small human fleet. Remember your training and trust your equipment. These aliens think we are helpless primitives. Let's show them how wrong they are. The alien ships opened fire first. Beams of pure energy lanced across space toward the human vessels. The first shots missed, but the aliens quickly adjusted their aim. The destroyer Houston took a direct hit and vanished in a ball of superheated plasma. Jesus, whispered someone on the bridge. Stay focused, Mitchell ordered. Parker, give me firing solutions on the lead alien ship. Solution locked, Captain. Fire. The Endeavor's main weapon was not like anything the aliens had ever seen before. Instead of energy beams or missiles, it fired what looked like small metallic spheres. The spheres moved slowly compared to light-speed weapons, but they had one advantage that alien technology could not counter. The first neutron cascade bomb struck the lead alien vessel and detonated. The explosion was not the bright flash that normal weapons produced. Instead, space itself seemed to twist and tear around the alien ship. The vessel's exotic hull materials and energy shields meant nothing because the weapon attacked matter at levels deeper than any shield could protect. The massive alien warship simply came apart. One moment it was there, and the next it was expanding cloud of individual atoms scattered across thousands of kilometers of space. Direct hit, Parker reported, with excitement in her voice. The lead ship is completely destroyed. The other 2 alien vessels immediately pulled back. Their pilots had probably never seen anything like what just happened to their flagship. This is impossible, came a transmission from one of the retreating ships. Your weapons ignore our defenses completely. Mitchell opened a channel to respond. That's the idea. See, here's the thing about humans. When someone tells us something is impossible, we take that as a personal challenge. Dr. Alex Turner was monitoring the battle from Luna Base, and his voice came through the communication system. Captain, the aliens are scanning our ships with some kind of exotic radiation. They are trying to figure out how our weapons work. Letty them scan, Mitchell replied. The more they learn about neutron cascade bombs, the more scared they should get. The retreating alien ships continued broadcasting as they fell back toward their main fleet. The transmissions were not directed at the humans but appeared to be status reports to the Galactic Council fleet. Unknown weapon type, one pilot reported. Ignores all known defensive systems. Recommend immediate strategic withdrawal. Impossible, came the reply from the main fleet. Primitive species cannot possess such technology. Continue the attack. Johnson watched the tactical display as the alien fleet began moving toward the inner solar system. All 200 ships were coming now, and they looked angry. Captain, he said quietly, I think we just made them really mad. Mitchell nodded. Good. Angry enemies make mistakes, and we are going to need them to make a lot of mistakes if we want to survive this. The first skirmish was over, but the real battle was about to begin. The aliens had learned that human weapons were more dangerous than they expected, but they still had overwhelming numbers. The next few hours would determine whether humanity's gamble would pay off, or whether Earth would become another dead world in the Galactic Council's empire. All ships prepare for full engagement, Mitchell ordered. And remember what we are fighting for. Every human being who ever dreamed of walking among the stars. Every child who ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what was out there. We are not just fighting for our lives. We are fighting for our future. The alien fleet was coming and there was nowhere to run. But humanity had never been very good at running anyway. Admiral Morrison stood in Luna Base's main command center, watching death approach his home world. The tactical display showed 200 alien ships moving through the solar system like a swarm of mechanical locusts. Each ship was the size of a city and carried enough firepower to level continents. Sir, the Galactic Council fleet has passed Jupiter and is accelerating toward the inner system, reported Lieutenant Commander Clark. At current speed, they will reach Earth orbit in 6 hours. Morrison nodded grimly. 6 hours to either save humanity or watch it burn. The first skirmish near Mars had shown that human weapons could hurt the aliens, but 12 ships against 200 was still impossible odds. What's the status of our orbital defense platforms? Morrison asked. Captain Julie Stevens answered, from the hidden military station New York. All platforms are online and weapon systems are charged. We have enough neutron cascade bombs to engage the entire alien fleet, but we will only get one shot at most targets. Dr. Elena Rodriguez was monitoring the battle from Earth, and her voice came through the communication system with barely controlled fear. Admiral, the aliens are using some kind of deep scanning technology on our ships. They are trying to understand how our weapons work. Let them look, Morrison replied. Understanding and defending against are two different things. The main screen flickered and showed the face of High Commander Vex Thule again. The alien looked less confident than before, but still arrogant enough to make demands. Humans, Vex Thule said with obvious anger in his voice. Your weapons are more advanced than we anticipated, but do not mistake one small victory for hope of survival. We offer you one final opportunity to surrender. Morrison stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. This is Admiral Jake Morrison of Earth Defense Command. We have considered your offer and our answer is the same as before. Go home. Vexathule's 4 eyes glowed with rage. You destroyed one of our vessels with weapons that should not exist. How is this possible? Your species has not even mastered faster than light travel. That's your mistake, Morrison replied calmly. You assume that because we don't have your technology, we don't have any technology. Humans have always been good at finding new ways to solve old problems. What kind of weapons are you using? Vexthul demanded. Morrison smiled, and it was not a friendly expression. The kind that work on anyone stupid enough to threaten Earth. Here's some free advice. Leave now while you still can. The alien commander's skin shifted to a darker color that probably indicated extreme anger. Impossible. No primitive species develops quantum disruption weapons before mastering basic energy manipulation. You are lying. Quantum disruption? Dr. Turner looked up from his monitoring station with surprise. Is that what they think neutron cascade bombs are? Morrison kept his attention on the screen. Does it matter what they call them as long as our weapons keep working? Vexthul continued his broadcast. Even if your weapons are real, you have only 12 ships. We have 200. The mathematics of this situation are simple. You're right, Morrison agreed. The math is simple. You have 200 ships that were designed to fight enemies with technology similar to yours. We have weapons that ignore everything your ships were built to defend against. Want to do the math on that? The transmission ended and Morrison turned to his staff. Around the command center, dozens of technicians and officers worked at their stations preparing for the most important battle in human history. Clark, what's the status of the Mars Defense Fleet? Captain Mitchell reports all ships operational and in position. The aliens are maintaining their distance since the first engagement, but they are moving to surround the human fleet. Morrison studied the tactical display. The alien formation was spreading out to prevent the humans from concentrating their fire. It was a smart move, but it also divided their strength. Stevens, are your platforms ready? Yes, sir. All orbital defense stations are tracking multiple targets and standing by for your orders. Dr. Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system with new urgency. Admiral, we are detecting massive energy buildups from the alien fleet. They are preparing to attack with everything they have. Morrison felt ice form in his stomach. The aliens had decided to stop playing games and finish this quickly. 200 ships firing at once would overwhelm Earth's defenses no matter how good their weapons were. All stations, this is Morrison. He broadcast to every human military unit in the solar system. The enemy is committing to full attack. This is the moment we have been preparing for. Remember what we are fighting for, and remember that every alien ship we destroy is one less threat to humanity's future. The alien fleet began to move faster, spreading out into attack formation. Energy readings spiked as exotic weapons charged for firing. In a few minutes, space around Earth would become a battlefield that would determine the fate of human civilization. Sir, Clark reported with tension in his voice. Long-range sensors are detecting something else. The aliens have additional ships moving in from outside the system. Morrison's blood turned cold. How many additional ships? Unknown, sir. They are using stealth technology, but preliminary estimates suggest at least 50 more vessels. The odds had just gotten worse. Morrison looked around the command center at his people. They were scared, but they were not giving up. That gave him hope. Ladies and gentlemen, he said in a voice that carried to every station. In a few minutes, we are going to find out if all our secret projects and experimental weapons were worth the money we spent on them. If we win here today, then humanity takes its place among the stars as an equal. If we lose, then at least we will go down fighting like human beings instead of surrendering like slaves. He paused and looked out at Earth hanging beautiful and blue, in the void below. For what it's worth, I would rather die on my feet defending our home than live on my knees begging for mercy from bullies. All stations prepare for battle. Let's show these aliens what happens when they threaten the wrong species. The final battle began when the alien fleet opened fire with every weapon they had. Space around Earth lit up like a deadly fireworks display as energy beams and exotic projectiles filled the void between worlds. The first human casualty was the destroyer Phoenix, which took 3 direct hits and exploded in a ball of superheated metal and plasma. Admiral Morrison watched from Luna Base as humanity's fate was decided in the darkness between planets. The tactical display showed red dots representing alien ships converging on the blue dots that marked Earth's defenders. The numbers were still impossible, but the humans had one advantage their enemies did not expect. All platforms fire at will, Morrison ordered. The hidden orbital defense stations around Earth revealed themselves for the first time. What the aliens had thought were research facilities and communication satellites suddenly bristled with weapons that should not have existed. Neutron cascade bombs launched from dozens of concealed positions, filling space with invisible death. The effect was immediate and devastating. Alien ships that had survived the conquest of 100 worlds simply vanished as the human weapons tore apart the fundamental forces holding their matter together. The neat alien formation dissolved into chaos as captains tried to understand how their advanced shields and armor meant nothing against these primitive weapons. Direct hits on 17 enemy vessels, reported Captain Stevens from the New York platform. All targets destroyed. High Commander Vex Thul's ship was at the center of the alien formation, and Morrison could imagine the panic spreading through their fleet. The aliens had expected an easy victory against a species that barely knew how to travel between planets. Instead, they were watching their technologically superior ships get destroyed by weapons that ignored every defensive system they possessed. "This is impossible," came a transmission from one of the alien ships. "Their weapons are attacking matter at the quantum level. How can primitives possess such technology?" Morrison opened a channel to broadcast to the entire alien fleet. "This is Admiral Morrison to all Galactic Council vessels. You are outgunned and outmatched. Surrender now and we will allow you to leave our system alive." The response came back immediately from Vex Thul himself. "Never. The Council does not surrender to inferior species." "Your choice," Morrison replied. "All human vessels and platforms, continue firing." Show them what inferior species can accomplish when someone threatens their home. The battle turned into a slaughter, but not the kind the aliens had expected. Human weapons found their targets with deadly precision, while alien weapons struggled to lock onto the smaller, more agile human ships. Captain Mitchell led the Earth fleet in a series of hit-and-run attacks that destroyed alien vessels faster than their formation could adapt. "Enemy fleet is breaking up," reported Lieutenant Parker from the Endeavour. "Multiple ships are trying to retreat, but they are running into their own forces." The alien fleet had been designed to fight enemies with similar technology and tactics. They were not prepared for weapons that ignored their defenses or for human pilots who fought with desperate creativity instead of following predictable battle plans. Dr. Turner was monitoring the alien communications, and his voice carried excitement and disbelief. "Admiral, they are requesting instructions from some kind of high command. It sounds like they have never encountered anything like our weapons before." Morrison felt a cold satisfaction. The Galactic Council had made the mistake of underestimating humanity, and now they were paying the price for their arrogance. "Stevens, what's your ammunition status?" 70% remaining, sir. We have enough neutron cascade bombs to finish off their entire fleet if they are stupid enough to keep fighting." The alien fleet was indeed stupid enough to keep fighting. Vexthal seemed to believe that numerical superiority would eventually win, despite the evidence that human weapons made numbers irrelevant. More alien ships died as the battle continued and their formation fell apart completely. "Admiral," Clark called out with amazement in his voice, "the alien reinforcements are turning around. The ships that were coming in from outside the system are retreating at maximum speed." Morrison allowed himself a small smile. Word was spreading through the Galactic Council fleet that attacking Earth was suicide. The reinforcements had decided they wanted no part of a battle against weapons that could destroy any ship regardless of its defenses. On the main screen, Vexthal appeared again, but this time he looked terrified instead of arrogant. "Humans, what do you want?" "We can negotiate. The Council is willing to discuss terms." "The terms are simple," Morrison replied. "Get out of our solar system and never come back. Tell your Galactic Council that Earth is off limits. Tell them that humans will go where we want when we want, and anyone who tries to stop us will end up like your fleet." "This is not over," Vexthal threatened, but his voice lacked conviction. "The Council has thousands of ships. We will return, with overwhelming force." Morrison's expression turned deadly serious. "Let me explain something to you, Commander. What you have seen today is just a small sample of human weapons technology. We have bombs that can destroy entire star systems. We have ships that can appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. If the Council wants to escalate this conflict, we are ready to take the war to every world they control." It was a bluff, but Vexthal had no way of knowing that. The alien commander looked at the wreckage of his once mighty fleet and made the only logical decision. "All ships retreat immediately," he ordered. "Full withdrawal to the outer system." The surviving alien vessels turned and fled toward the edge of the solar system, leaving behind the wreckage of nearly half their fleet. Morrison watched them go and felt the weight of victory settling on his shoulders. Clark sent a message to President Williams. "Tell her that Earth is secure and the alien threat has been eliminated." "Yes, sir." "What about the retreating ships?" Morrison considered pursuing the fleeing aliens, but decided against it. "Let them go. They have a story to tell, and I want every alien civilization in the galaxy to hear it." The story would indeed spread throughout the galaxy. The tale of how a primitive species had destroyed the mighty Galactic Council fleet with impossible weapons would become legend. Within a few years, no alien civilization would dare threaten Earth, and human explorers would find themselves welcomed and feared in equal measure as they spread among the stars. The aliens had tried to keep humanity trapped on one world, but their arrogance had lit their own funeral pyres and cleared the path for human expansion into the galaxy. Earth would never again be alone in the universe, but now they would meet other civilizations as equals rather than as prey.